Following our top story of the weekend, a federal grand jury handing down charges against 13 Russian nationals, charging they carried out a 2-year-long campaign to try and disrupt the 2016 presidential election. You know, it's the latest development in Robert Mueller's sweeping Russia investigation. Top Department of Justice officials outlining the indictment. They say the Russians tried to help then candidate Donald Trump, as well as Democrat Bernie Sanders and independent candidate Jill Stein. Their target to try and take down Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton.
They used stolen or fictitious American identities, fraudulent bank accounts, and false identification documents. The defendants posed as politically and socially active Americans, advocating for and against particular candidates. They established social media pages and groups to communicate with unwitting Americans.
But will any of them ever face justice? Doug Burns joins us now, former federal prosecutor, and David Bruno, defense attorney and former prosecutor and trial attorney. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Let me start with you. What are the chances you think that we're going to see any of these Russians actually in handcuffs?
It depends on a couple of factors, Eric, so let me explain. If they have the appetite, the willingness to simply remain in Russia, then they will never face justice here. And the reason for that is there's no extradition treaty between the United States and Russia, so there's no legal vehicle or mechanism for getting them before the U.S. courts. Next little baby step, if they travel to a country that does not have extradition similarly with the United States, then they'll also probably be fine, okay? But if they travel to a country that has an extradition treaty, you know, Interpol puts out notices graded by colors, 8 different levels. The red notice is the most serious, and the point is Interpol could ask the country that they are found in traveling to provisionally arrest them pending extradition. So that's sort of the landscape.
So that means, Dave, all you have to do if you're one of these guys, pick your countries. I mean, you may be, you know, constricted in where you can travel in the world, but you can get away with it.
Yeah, that's true. We've heard from a couple of the defendants already saying how much they like Russia and they plan to stay. And that would make sense because of the extradition issues that Doug just brought up.
Yeah, that was the head of it's called the Internet Research Agency, according to the indictment. And the managing director says, quote, "I love my country. In Russia, there are many beautiful places where you can go, so he's going to be stuck in Siberia or Moscow or St. Petersburg." But I mean, Doug, the incredibly troubling part of this is that this started in 2014. And it seems so simple. And it was so Americanized, using Facebook and social media with their hashtags.
Of course.
And also allegedly traveling to many states and reaching out to political activists. I mean, they don't need a Russian accent. You don't have to have, look like a spy. I mean, it's unbelievable that they basically got away with this.
Well, you know what it is like, in the intense politically toxic climate that we're in, you know, everybody wants to de-emphasize, as it were, that this started in 2014 when Donald Trump wasn't president, hadn't even indicated that he was going to run for president. And so that is very, very significant. You know, the alternative narrative, as it were, and I'm not a political expert, I'm a lawyer, but the political narrative is, you know, this is all about Trump and the Trump administration. That's not really true. So we're seeing that this was a concerted effort going back quite some time. And again, you know, you get into this dust-up, which is, aha, this shows you that the president's claim that it was a hoax is completely invalid. But wait a minute. It's more that the idea of collusion's a hoax. And this particular indictment, again, and I'm not being political, it doesn't show collusion. Rod Rosenstein said no Americans were willingly involved. And he also said, which many don't want to hear, that it did not, repeat, did not affect the outcome of the election, Eric.
Although many point out it's just this indictment. Right. We don't know what else they have.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, no, if I can. This is a specific operation with information, and this is using social media accounts and whatnot. What's not in this indictment is about the hacks. There was a hack of the DNC and the Clinton staffers, and certainly when we talk about the hacks, that is the type of information where the Russians tried to reach out and to provide things. We have the Trump Jr. meeting. We have the WikiLeaks direct messages. So when we say vindicated, I agree with Doug that on this particular operation, all Americans have been vindicated because they were unwitting and they did not know, and they were using fake personas, but it does not get to the end to say there's no collusion proven.
Yeah, and also it seems that it goes right to the Kremlin. I mean, let me show you one of the main alleged participants in this, the guy who funded the operation in St. Petersburg, Yevgeny Prigozhin. He's a billionaire. He is called Putin's chef because he's up there on the left, right behind Putin's shoulder. You see him there, who apparently handles billions and billions of dollars. And he was, in fact, under sanctions and is under sanctions right now by the U.S. Department of Treasury. Back in December of 2016, let me read you what the Treasury Department put out when he was sanctioned. Yevgeny Prigozhin assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, technological support for or goods or services in support of senior officials of the Russian Federation. Prigozhin has extensive business dealings with the Russian Federation Ministry of Defense, and a company with significant ties to him holds a contract to build a military base near the Russian Federation border with Ukraine. So, Doug, if you can walk us through this for a moment.
Sure.
That company supposedly is Concord, which is in this indictment, building that Russian base and being a potential Russian contractor for troops, according to the reports.
Hey, it's entirely reasonable for everybody to say, look, there appear to be significant, contacts and interactions and a nexus between that particular individual, his business dealings, and the government. But again, not to be a broken record, politically, everybody kind of oversells their positions. It's crystal clear that the Russian government was involved. I don't agree with that. Versus the government wasn't involved at all. I don't agree with that. The truth is somewhere in between, in my view.
Well, what do you mean, like in between? You don't think Putin ordered this? It's been said that this came directly from Putin.
I don't think so, honestly.
Really?
No, I really don't.
Why not?
I don't think he directly ordered that, Eric. Again, we're going to have to study it more. Working off the point earlier, you don't declare a ball game over at halftime. And I don't think the information is sufficient at this point, based on this indictment, to draw that conclusion.
Well, I could
be proven wrong later.
Yeah, the intelligence agencies all say Russia did it. It came from their interest, and that means Putin. And there's even indications, according to reports, that it came directly from him. And you still don't buy it.
No, I don't. And there have been a lot of dust-ups, by the way, about the number of, 17 agencies said that, and there was intense opposition to that was a little bit oversold. So, again, I know I keep repeating the same piano chords, but everybody overplays a lot of these angles.
All right, well, we'll see what happens.
Eric, if I can,
one
last point.
Sure.
One last point.
Yeah.
This information warfare may explain the dossier. Okay, because let's not forget, Christopher Steele was investigating during this entire time, and it's been shown that the Russians were putting out false information. If they're putting out false information into social media, why not also put false information into Christopher Steele's dossier?
But he's supposed to be, a former, British intelligence. Oh, he is.
Right, but still, that's the source of the information.
He wouldn't be unwitting or witty, or would he be not turned? I mean, how could they do that?
He may be unwitting as well, but that's the source of his information. He was going to the Russians to get the information in the dossier. We now know there was an information warfare out there to provide false information.
So the Russians, in your view, are intentionally feeding him false information, you think?
That's what I think.
Wow. Doug, last word.
No, I mean, I think that this particular indictment shows, for the first time, it really shows the American public, oh, my God, there was significant activity to disrupt our political system and affect the election. That's a big step forward. But the further conclusions that, this is directly at the doorstep of the president, don't necessarily follow. And in reverse, it doesn't follow to say he's been completely vindicated. Everybody's got to...
Quickly, what about what Dave just said about Steele? You think that the Russians would be lying to Steele?
Hard to say. I really can't give you an opinion on that one. Sorry to dodge that.
2 points. First of all, Comey said it was unverified and salacious. And also, there have been many facts in the dossier that have been proven wrong.
This is... wait, say that one more time. What was that again?
First off, Director Comey has testified that it was unverified and salacious.
Yep.
Right.
Second point, there have been many facts in the dossier that have been proven inaccurate.
Yes, that's correct. And some have been proven correct, but I guess this is all part of this fascinating back and forth between the intelligence agencies and what is true or not. So
Absolutely.
David and Doug, we'll keep you on that in terms of Mr. Putin.
Keep me on that promise,
I'm going to keep you on that.
All right.
Known you for a long time. We'll keep you on it, though. Okay, take care.
Take care.